Good morning, Christ Baptist. I hope this video finds you doing well and that you are staying home, following the instructions of the CDC, and if you're in Orleans Parish, the instructions of the mayor. I know Jefferson Parish is on a similar alert, and I know that we are all navigating what is a very unique and different time. Who would have thought 2 weeks ago that our city would be experiencing this sort of event? Who would have thought 2 weeks ago that we would be worshiping together for the last time physically together for the next few weeks? I hope and pray that this is a very short duration, but I know that we are preparing for it to be much longer than any of us would like. I am missing shaking your hand, hugging your neck, seeing you in person, but we are doing what I believe is just the right thing to stay home so that we can save lives, so that we can serve others. We're called to love our neighbor, and I think in this time, loving our neighbor is keeping our distance from our neighbor so that this virus does not spread, so that we don't overwhelm the system, and so that we can see this virus go away. But I'll tell you what, I also know that God was not surprised. I also know that God was not shocked by any of this, that He remains in control. He remains on His throne. And that is a promise that I have held on to these last few days and last week. We have all had moments of worry and anxiousness, some of us more than others. I know for myself, I have a tendency to be an anxious person. And I have worked and am working hard not to be that anxious person, not to let my worry overwhelm me, because that is not helpful. It's not valuable. It's not what God would have us to do. He calls us to trust in Him, to remember that we have nothing to fear except for Him. We are called to submit ourselves to Him, and we are called to fear Him. Fear Him the way a son fears disappointing a father, the way a son or a daughter feels about disappointing their parents or respecting them. We want to be a people who know the deep love and compassion of the Father, but we fear Him because He is the Creator God, because He is holy and majestic, and fear of Him is right and appropriate. But so is love, and so is recognizing His mercy and His compassion. We're in the Lenten season. I know that we have talked a lot about that at Christ Baptist, that we are navigating the season leading up to Easter, and that while we as Baptists, it's not something that we have been primarily focused on during the Lenten season of giving up something for Lent. Seems like this Lenten season we are all giving up something way more than we anticipated. And I'm probably sure you've not heard that joke before. But I do know that during this Lenten season, it is an opportunity for us to focus on God in ways that we have not. While we are staying home, while we are quarantining and sheltering in place, we are focused. We're given an opportunity to focus on the Lord and to spend more time with Him and to spend more time with our families. I would encourage you, if you are, we have widows in our churches, we have single men and women live in our churches. I would encourage you to reach out to them. Our deacons are working to reach out to all of our church members consistently. And I would encourage you to reach out to one another. The church is not the building. The church is the body of believers. Our building at 3000 Manhattan Boulevard is the physical place where our body of believers gathers. But that is not what the church is. The church is that group of believers coming together, being obedient to the call of the Lord, being obedient to His command, and serving Him together one another. So let's serve one another. Let's love one another well. Let's spend time reaching out, calling, texting, checking in with one another. Do not allow this, what's been termed social distancing, create a real and complete distance between us. Let's create physical distance so that we can stop the spread of this virus. But let's not create distance between one another that we lose contact, that we lose our relationships with one another. Let's stay focused on spending time with one another in the best ways that we can right now, through text, through phone calls, through just checking in with one another. That's such a valuable part of what we can do and be about right now. During this season, during this time of staying at home and quarantining in, I know that we are all trying to make sense of it, trying to figure out what it is God is trying to teach us during this season. And it may be that just He's asking us to draw closer to Him. Friends, I have spent a lot of time in the Psalms of late. The Psalms are what we know as the songbook of Israel. They have recorded here in the Psalms their hymns of praise, their hymns of lament, their prayers, their adoration of the Father. What's unique about them is they're Psalms that you read them and you feel and sense the worry and the anguish, the hurt and the anger. But inevitably in each of those Psalms, you have this moment where it turns. This moment in the Psalm, even in those Psalms of lament, where it turns and there's a recognition of who God is and how He will deliver them, how He will make things new, how He will refresh them. Throughout my life, I have been drawn to one particular psalm. One particular psalm has just spoken to me over and over and over again through various points in my life. And I've shared it with some of you before, and I'll share it with you again today, just as an encouragement to you. But it's Psalm 91. So if you have your Bibles, grab them, pick them up, read with me Psalm 91.